excited. Y'all really, really excited. Y'all clap it up for what y'all are waiting for.
Exceeds our requests and questions with inconceivable answers. He destroys boundaries with myth-busting truth. He is greater than me, you, and this lost world we live in. He takes insurmountable odds with leaps and bounds, leveling mountains with words, straightening crooked places with purpose. He is within us. And we are filled with his uncontainable presence. Bursting at the seams with his spirit, he lives. And when our flesh comes undone, he gives. The ability to overcome, he is. Mending the brokenness that pounds in our chests and pumps life through our veins like rivers of water. He turned to wine to celebrate union. He sits at the head of the table, serving himself for communion. He flows, offering miracles, not rituals. He knows the secret paths of our thoughts, navigating the forest of our minds toward transformation. He is greater than all of our anticipations. He is our God. So let him breathe like the wind in the air around us. Let him be like the earth produces all that our bodies need. More than anyone or anything, he is above all, within all, using all for the good of those of us that love him. Adding light in the dark spaces, inserting joy in place of yesterday's sorrows. He's our shoulder to cry on and the wiper of our tears for tomorrow. He is our arms to be embraced in, the dispeller of our fears. So come near and quietly hear the thunders of his whispers, his direction and guidance. Let him dance with us, work through us, to love in unity, for peace. Be still and know that he is God.
Yes.
And God is good, y'all, yeah? God is good all the time and all the time. Yeah, I knew I was in church. I knew it. Woo. I give thanks for all the beautiful faces here, for all the energy, for all the love, for this platform, this beautiful space. Can y'all give it up for Maroon Arts Group? And I tell y'all, Maroon Arts Group stepped into my life at a time when I didn't even know how to articulate what I was going through. I went to Black Staccato and I saw, Black Staccato. If you were there, you can't sit quiet. I remember sitting there and just thinking, that's how I feel. Wow, Lori, that's how I feel. I want to rise up. Wow, that's how I feel, T1. That's how I feel, Renee. That's how I feel, Barb. And so I give thanks for this space and also trying to continue to shake my nerves.
Hey! So good to be here with you today. My sister friend, Tifani Kendrick. You had a lovely feature. Thank you so much for featuring at Roots.
Thank you.
How do you feel about it?
I feel great. I feel like it was a beautiful night. Absolutely just amazing to have all the love in the room.
Yeah.
And blessed to be in that space as a feature with Mag. Like that was a lot.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about like your creative process, because you came out singing, but then you did poetry, and you have so many different elements to your creativity. So can you tell us a little bit about your creative process?
I guess for me, my process it starts with prayer. Like it starts with me being still. It starts with me just pausing to connect with God and ask what my purpose is for what I am creating.
Right.
And then thinking about the audience, thinking about, for me, it's who invited me. So I want to think about what their platform represents to the community and what it is I want to share. So with Mag, it's identity, roots, identity. Okay. So let me take that in and just think about what makes up who I am. What is it I want to share about my story that will hopefully inspire someone else to think about who they are and be their best self. So.
That's awesome. So I'm really, you brought up prayer. I'm really interested in the role of religion in your art, and can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what is the role of religion or faith or spirituality in your art?
So as far as my art, I find that it plays a big role. I was brought up in the church, so I was brought up under a Christian background. I'm a strong believer in Jesus Christ and follower of his teachings. And so I believe that as I express myself creatively, that kind of naturally comes. It's natural for me to go there and talk about God at some point, even without intentionally saying this is a Jesus poem, or I want to talk about God in this piece. In fact, when I try to, sometimes that's more challenging for me to like, okay, I'm gonna do a poem for church. It's like, wait, hold on. But if it's more about just expressing what's on my heart and expressing what has been inspired through me, then it feels a little more natural and organic. But I feel like my art is a ministry. It's a way of serving. And so even as I grow imperfectly, and I call it imperfect progress, in my faith walk, it's important for me to infuse that in what I do.
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea.
So the first voice that you heard, kind of, sort of, because we were clapping, was the voice of my mother, Helen. Yes. And every time the heart is carrying my mom into a space of performance, she is present in love through friends who know her, who lived her journey alongside her. So can we give thanks for that? She was speaking, it was like 2008, she was speaking at a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, I believe in Dayton, and I was listening to that CD, and she was like, let me get out the way. I'm like, yes, Lord, that's what I want in this space. The other voices you heard singing was my grandmother and her three sisters. Everybody say the January sisters. January sisters. So I come from a long line of artists, performers, preachers, singers, what have you, and so I wanted to kick it off with my foundation. Is that all right? Yeah. They both raised me. I was co-parented by my mother and my grandmother, and so that's why I have a split personality. I don't know, for some of y'all who know me real good, so those who know me know I'm a church girl. Those who really, really know me, you know there's another side to me. That's Helen, all right? That's Helen. So there's Dolores, y'all know Dolores, and then there's Helen. Some of y'all know Helen. So a lot of what I'm gonna do tonight is honoring mama, honoring woman, honoring becoming. How many of us are becoming? Honoring breath. Let's stop and breathe for a minute. So when I lost my mother in 2010, I was gasping for air and suffocating in grief. And God said, breathe. Mama is eternal embrace. Her womb, our first home, a direct connection to the most holy divine messenger of spiritual mysteries. Mama manifests miracles always. Somehow she defeated death to deliver us to life. Mama is sleepless nights, protected from nightmares. She is the warmth of wisdom, swaddling our flesh, reminding us we are never alone, even when she is not there. Mama is present, a gift of lessons, sometimes learned the hard way. Mama is educator. She is hand on hand teaching us to write our name, to know who we are. Even if we do not know all that she is, Mama guides us along the way. She lifts us when we stumble and lets us crawl when we feel we cannot take another step. Mama is encourager, defender of dreams, imparting faith in a power higher than ourselves, bent on blistered knee at bedside, waging war against our rebellion. Mama is intercessor. Her battle cry floods the heavens, raging against life's attempts to drown us in despair. Mama is sweet-smelling savor in alabaster. Her heart breaks open to mend our hurts. Poured out in libation, she sacrifices self to secure our hope. Mama is page after page of cliches and quotes. She is, you will do it because I said so. I brought you in this world and I will take you out. Don't talk back to me or I will give you something to cry about. And no matter how much we dislike our mama, you better not talk about my mama. Mama is artistry in motion. She is fitly words spoken, silent turned melody. Mama is the dance of life. Always on the move, always in service. Mama is chef, physician, lawyer, counselor, and Uber. She is our best friend or frenemy. Mama is love. Even when she does not know how to speak love's language, she shields us from the destruction of hatred. Her tongue may share her truths, too bitter for our taste, or she may be stuck in silence, unable to share her pain. See, Mama is survivor. And sometimes we don't even know what she pressed through to get here or how her mama died just to breathe her to be. Mama is human, imperfect masterpiece with immeasurable strength wrapped in weakness. Mama is the root of all things, even when she fails to meet our expectations. Even when she chooses the path that does not include us. Even when she hurts us with her choices, Mama is healer. She helps us identify our pain and cry out for help. We leave her presence more whole than broken. Mama is mirror. In her eyes, we see our own beauty and learn to embrace our flaws. We come to know ourselves because of who Mama is. And even when she leaves, she is always within. Because we are the manifested hope of every mama before us. Whether Mama gave birth to us or wears a different name, we are all Mama's children. Determined to heal more completely. With every passing generation, we always give thanks for Mama.
Yeah, I love that. I love the idea of service to others. But you serve not just in the creative field, you serve in multiple ways, right? Because you're a CEO of an organization, Delight House Ministries. You used to run way back in the day. A lot of people don't know this, but you used to run the Lighthouse, which was an open mic spot for artists. So talk a little bit about like how your creativity shows up in other areas of your life, because you're also a wife and a mother, a CEO, like your sister, your friend, your daughter. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So you said how to create creativity.
Yeah, how does your creativity show up in other ways in your life?
Okay, so I think it was really like this year, the past couple years, I realized for me art is beyond the the manifested things we create for entertainment or inspiration solely, right? So art and creativity is more than the painting, the song, the poem. I'm realizing I get really creative when it's an opportunity to create an event or a program. And I love that process of saying, okay, what is a need that we need to meet? Self-esteem, okay? We want to help young ladies learn how to love themselves more. So, what can we do? Well, let's create a platform where we can discuss love and infuse some performance and
love
some
yourself.
Conversation. And that's how Love Yourself Day was birthed, right? And, so with the Lighthouse Family Center, that became a way for me to create programming and opportunities to promote love. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And so it's in everything. We are creators, and so I'm learning that is also my art. Like, I love creating opportunities for people to grow and to grow in love, and that's what I do. That's my profession right now, is creating these spaces and programs and opportunities for people.
That's awesome. Now, I've seen you perform like a lot, so I have the pleasure and the benefit of seeing you perform or hearing your work a lot. One of the things that that I've seen you do is you've had people inhale and exhale, and you use this term of like catching your breath often. So what does that mean? What does that mean to you? Like, can you tell us where that came from, why you use it? What does it mean to catch your breath, and that catchphrase, catching your breath?
Thanks for asking that. I'm like, oh, that's dope. It's obvious, like that it's out there. But it actually came from my experience. So in order to experience joy, there's that experience of sorrow as well. Like, that's a balance of life. And I had gone through a season of gasping for air, of not even realizing I felt like I was drowning, or not even realizing that I was deep in grief. And during that season, I sought spaces and ways to just, and as I did that and heard within myself, heard God say, you need to breathe. And did studies on grief, and did studies and just looking up what it means to recover from anxiety or depression, like these heavy and weighty mental experiences and emotional experiences. Literally breathing helps to regulate us. And the more I learned about the power of breath, the more I practice it, the more I want other people to like realize, like, you have so many tools just on the inside of you.
Right.
And so whenever I feel tense, I could be in traffic and I'm like, and just come into the present moment.
Yeah.
And so even before that performance, I was off to the side, and I love the pictures because the pictures show me kind of looking like I was just praying and kind of but calm and collected, when I was actually, my heart was pounding.
Wow.
My heart was pounding like it was going to bust out of my chest. I'm telling on myself, like, listen, this is real. Like, it just, I could feel it pounding against my chest. Wow. But I was over there catching my breath. That was my time to breathe, so I could then pour oxygen into the audience. Like, I want everyone to feel inspired, and that's what inspiration means. Is to respire, is to breathe. Breathe life into something, breathe life into an idea. So that came from that sorrowful place that is now becoming a practice. It's becoming a message. It's becoming a business. I actually started a coaching business called a program called Breathe Easy.
Wow. So, oh my gosh, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Breathe easy.
Breathe easy.
I love that. I'm gonna sign up for that.
So this journey for me has been about growing from being just Helen's daughter, being a granddaughter, to coming into my own self, living in my own body, living in my own identity, and I'm still exploring that. How many of us are still exploring that? Yes. Just to not to rebel against what I've learned or been taught, but to unlearn some of those things that no longer suit me. And I wrote this piece, and I'm like, okay, this is different, Tiff. Okay, But I just keep thinking about the body, and I'll never forget looking in the mirror in my becoming and actually being in my body and like saying, I'm beautiful. Like with every stretch mark, wrinkle, everything that's tucked in right now that you can't see. Like to really pause and say, this body. And so this piece is for all of the woman body, all right? This body was once starlight within womb. Conceived without counting the cost, this body was considered a liability worth terminating. But it was determined that the risk of the body this body was in was too great. Perhaps the return on investment would be worth the wait. Composed of secrets only the universe knows, this body carries royal lineage buried in untouched tombs. Written in passages only celestial beings can interpret, this body was once cargo, branded with price tag, excavated by other uninvited bodies with hard hands and even harder hearts. This body has been torn open by broken souls searching for themselves within this body. This body too young for marriage, but minstrel sold her hand. This body gave birth to lost bodies she will never name, forced into slavery alongside cold bodies with empty eyes that never knew freedom's sound sung in native tongue. This body learned to speak her own language, longing for rapture. Since this body became graveyard to generational silence, death is no destructive force, but a daily practice preceding resurrection. See, this body is magic, metamorphoses mangled beings into monarchs. With one touch, this body bears the dreams her ancestors communicate through the cosmos. Unrestrained by time, she is unending narrative of healing in every shape and size, whispered among the pages of quiet reads, neatly laid on nightstand. Only bold bodies carry her name on their lips during the day, because this body survived centuries of storms against her spirit. This body, do not ask why. This body burns sage to transform living rooms into sacred spaces for her sisters' bodies to encircle themselves in prayer, humming mantra in meditation and sipping laughter in celebration. She transforms earth's gifts to feed souls longing for light. In gratitude, this body moves to the rhythm of universal pulse. This body is a holy place, consecrated for communion, so come and dine, but only if you are ready to rise. In her new skins, she inhales truth and exhales prophecy. Can you hear the beauty of this body? So often overlooked and underestimated, looked over and deemed intimidating, devalued and taken advantage of. There is no room for this body simply because this body is the entire room. More than a man's hiding place and an unborn child's home, this body deserves to be loved. Self-love is work, yeah? I'm learning that self-love is, to love yourself is to love your whole self. Some of us love this body, so we will take care of this body, we will do everything, we will, get it all cuted up, but we will neglect our soul, right? And not really feed ourselves what our soul is longing for, or we'll just church it up and spirit it up and do all of that while the body itself just deteriorates and gets neglected, and you kind of feed it whatever you feel like it wants in the moment. But there's a wholeness to this self-love thing. And I'm learning that whether it's my mind needing peace, thank you, Lauryn Hill, gotta have peace of mind, or this heart needing healed. I'm thinking of India Ari and her Songversations Medicine, because that's been medicine for me. And being I am light, so I do some affirmations over my whole self, starting with my head. I am light, I speak life, I am love, I am well, I am strong, I am pure, I know the way to go. I speak that over myself, and so that is a way of demonstrating self-love. Please speak life. Everybody say, speak life.
Speak life.
Who's my timekeeper?
Me.
Okay. Sherry's like, no, me. Can y'all give it up for Sherry? I love her. She's amazing. She's amazing. So I'm looking around the room and I see a lot of different hairstyles. Yes, lots of pretty hair. My self-love journey started with my hair. So for those who don't know, like the Tiffany Wells from Springfield, Ohio, that felt funny to say. I had a relaxer and I did the wrap thing, and then I would, uncomb my wrap, and so I had body, when the wind blew. And there's nothing wrong with that, but for me, I really desired to go natural. I wanted that. I wanted naps. I wanted locks. And it wasn't until I was kind of pushed into it through surgery. I had surgery on my craniectomy. And so I said, I'm gonna cut all my hair and go natural so that, I ain't gonna give the surgeon all my hair. Basically that's what I was saying. Like, no, you can't, I'm not giving you my hair, I'm gonna take it first. So I cut my hair, had a TWA, and that's when I really started to love me, like my appearance in its natural place. So this is a little bit about hair and all the wonderful things we experience as women with that. Y'all still with me? Yeah. I'm told I have like a really calming voice that I should do meditation CDs. So I don't want you to fall asleep while I'm up here. Stay with me, please. Thank you. It's like she do have that voice though. She do. Okay. My hair, presently locked into freedom, intertwines herself tightly tangled in twisted love, untainted by the fear that once had her flatlined. This kind of freedom only comes from being anchored in ancestral truths. As a kid, my hair was often the topic of colorful conversations. My mother and grandmother took turns telling my hair how unruly she was. Combed her with insults, it's so nappy. They stroked my strands aggressively, punishing every flinch and cringed reaction because it shifted my position, making perfect parts seemingly impossible. But this was a sacred squirm, a universal dance for every black girl with kinky hair, longing for freedom. Pressed between mama's knees, perched on a throne of pillows, this is how queens bond. Crowns twisted by words that often deflate our self-esteem. I was 9 years old when I discovered what to hate about myself. This intolerable hair chained me to insecurities. My smile could only take me to the shores of my broken hairline, less like ocean waves, more like dense bush. My grandmother lovingly torched my roots. Hot comb set my natural beauty ablaze, but I better be still as the sizzling sound crisped my kitchens. Crackling like the pages of royal ancestry set on fire turned to ashes, but it was worth the sacrifice, she thought. How else would pink sponge hold kinks in place? This hair had to be tamed. Chained and bound to press and curl, we thought having hair that could move when the wind blows would make us free. We thought our hair could make us more acceptable, that it could somehow disguise our blackness and chemically burn us into beautiful. We forgot what freedom looked like. My hair never agreed to pseudo freedom. My hair declares her own story. She speaks of queens and kings, healers and artisans, sun-kissed, reflecting Mother Earth, rivers of joyous tears, mountains of hope, hips swinging to the sound of djembe and sync with swaying trees, songs of sorrow and celebration extending to the sky, yet steadfast and deeply rooted to the present time. See, that's the kind of freedom my hair whispers, lovingly, to the spirits of my mother and my grandmother, so they can know that I found freedom on this side of heaven. All locked and twisted and tangled up in love with my own self. I found enough freedom to gather in translation to speak in affirmation as I detangle my 10-year-old daughter's thick forest of deep brown blanket covering her brilliance. so divine. I pour libation of love over her, anoint her head with coconut oil and sing into every strand. I tell my daughter how beautiful she is, just as she is. Every curl represents her creativity and every kink as unique as her fingerprints. Every follicle accounted for by Creator. Her hair is an adornment of purposeful protection. I tell her that her freedom is not limited to the crown atop her head, but it actually resides within her mind, as limitless as the sky. As my daughter sits on the throne of pillows, perched between my knees, she is not punished. Instead, she receives only the sweetest rituals of this sacred dance as we queens bond in freedom. And my daughter is, she is an artist of her own right. She is not a shadow of me. She is not, though she is a reflection. I understand we reproduce, yeah. But she is gifted as a visual artist, as a writer, and as a dancer, and she loves music as well. And so she wrote a piece, and I want y'all to show her some love as she comes to share. My one, Dionna.
About my brand new snow globe that fell and it shattered, and yeah, it's called Your Guitar Made of Snow. Your music I will never hear again. Tears falling down my cheeks, and I rock as your music used to rock me, back and forth. My heart beats the beat you used to sing. I smile again. But the anger-filled frustration sings louder than your song. You slip from my hands. You shatter into tiny pieces. Bit by bit you break. My heart quakes with mourning. Missing your music you once played on your sweet guitar of snow. You melt from my fingertips, your guitar with you. You are gone. My heart dies with you and I cry. My face turns red, I can't stop. Heart beating, tears pouring faster and faster. Your sweet guitar is shattered, like my heart is shattered now. No more guitars of snow. Never again will I hear your sweet, tuning melodies and your precious voice sing aloud. Songs with no words but words. Songs with meaning but none. You are missing. I pick up your guitar bits and my heart pounds even faster. I can't let you go, so I die with you. Goodbye. No more of your sweet guitar of snow.
So just thinking about, like you talked a little bit about grief and sorrow. I know something that we share in common is that we both lost our mothers. One of the things that you said in your feature is that you were co-parented. You were co-parented by your mother and your grandmother. You also had another generation show up on stage. You brought your daughter on stage. She was able to perform and shine her light. So I want you to maybe talk a little bit about legacy, if you can, because those voices, we heard voices in the beginning and at the end of your feature, and I think that was super powerful. So what is the legacy that your mother and your grandmother both left for you? And then what's the legacy that you want to leave then for your daughter?
Yes. I'm like, man, Barb's like trying to make me cry. Like, what's happening? Well, like, one of the things that I'm growing and understanding in, it is spiritual. That when we no longer have someone in our physical presence that we can hold on to, they leave breadcrumbs, like they leave golden nuggets, they leave things for us to carry into our lives that we can then utilize for our own growth. And my grandmother and my mother, they journaled, they wrote.
Wow.
That's how they processed their emotions. My grandmother wrote plays. My mother,
that's amazing.
In her recovery from addiction, she did a lot of journaling as part of her process to stay clean. And so I'm able to capture some of that wisdom And I end up rediscovering those things at pivotal moments in my life.
Wow.
And so those CDs, I was able to find CDs of their voices, and I wanted to use that to introduce me, because I wouldn't be here without them. And I would not have the gifts that I have, or the passion that I have for helping others heal, if it was not for them. So they left that legacy for me, and I feel like I'm carrying that on in my passion to care for women, in the art that I do, and my writing. And as I do that, what I'm seeing that's natural for my daughter is for her to write. She just naturally.
That's amazing.
She wrote me this, Roses Are Red poem one time, and I was just like, okay, this is a gift. She's also a visual artist. She also dances, and she loves music. And my son is a musician and a dancer. He won't claim the dance, but
he will.
I'm learning that heritage, that it flows through us. So even when I leave, they will not only have those tangible aspects that hopefully I can leave behind, stories and poems and whatever, and things I've written about them or to them, but they'll have that spirit of artistry and creativity that flows through them, so that they know, well, mom's not gone. I am my mom.
Right.
And that's how I feel now. I am my grandma. I am my mom. Some of the same battles. I'm fighting some of the same battles in a sense. But I'm doing so with different set of tools.
Yes.
I'm doing so with a different level of awareness. And so I can go on and on, but I believe that's part of what art does, is it helps us carry on a legacy. Art, we're historians, right? We get to tell the stories of the time, and then the next generation gets to look back at that to say, oh, that's what was happening, and this is how they responded to that.
Wow. Thank you. Well, you just answered my next question, because I was going to ask you about the role of art and the power of art and what that means to you, but I think you kind of took care of that. I want to go back to something that you stated in your feature. You talked about finding balance and how some people are so spiritually in tune that they don't really pay attention to themselves physically, and then vice versa. Some people are so in touch with getting together physically that they don't pay attention to themselves spiritually. And I want to know what that balance looks like for your life, and how can you speak to that in somebody else's life and help them?
Man, that's a great question too. I used to wrestle with the word balance, box it to the ground, there's no such thing. I just hate it when people say I gotta find balance. There's no such thing. And then I've heard terms like harmony, which I also like, because that takes all the elements of your life and infuses them, and then they operate beautifully together. I think regardless of what we call it, it's an imperfect process.
Yeah.
Going back to that, I'm understanding again, if I have a full day, and within that day I feel tired and I feel energized, I have a sad moment and I have a happy moment. One day was that's balance.
Wow.
That's balance.
Yeah.
I get to rest, but I also have work to do.
Yeah.
For one thing that I grew to understand once I left my full-time position to fulfill my dream of being an entrepreneur, being a nonprofit leader, was I had to write myself into my job description. So every day I'm spending time with me.
Wow.
I'm taking at least an hour, and I'm going to move my body in some kind of way. I'm going to stop. I'm going to breathe and meditate and pray and get some scripture and write. That's part of my everyday. And that is part of what helps me do the other stuff. I put my oxygen mask on, and then I go into the classroom, and then I get to spend time with a dozen girls, for instance, and just speak life into them. I gotta speak life to myself first.
Yes.
So that's also part of my, that speaking life to myself first is part of my balance. Yeah. And again, I'm getting poured into, then I pour out. And there are times when it's just not balanced, and you can feel it. It's okay, I have to identify what it is I need in the moment. Right. And that's what I enjoy about, again, what I'm doing with women, is just helping us recognize, hey, there's some imbalances. What needs aren't being met? How do I find the resources that can meet those needs? First of all, recognizing I'm my most important resource. Right. Because I can connect with the divine and get get that met, and then connect with community and get that met. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Resources, tools, you've given us so much. The last thing I want to ask you is, what would you say to someone who's struggling, who might be struggling with their creativity, or who might be struggling with their faith, or who might be struggling in grief and sorrow and some of those things that you touched on? What would you leave someone with?
I would leave with basically the 3 things that God gave me, which I actually wrote about in the chapter that I wrote in the Resilience Factor. I was part of a collective that told their story, and
which is a book that people can still get.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
good.
The Resilience Factor is here. It's stop and catch your breath. So like literally pause and breathe in between. When you're in traffic, when you're struggling with grief, when you're feeling anxious, you're nervous about the future, you're holding on to something from the past, like just stop and breathe for a minute. Come into the moment. Catch your breath. So speak life, affirm yourself and affirm others.
Yeah.
And rather than wallow in that heaviness, speak life to what you want to happen and what you want to experience. And then lastly, like live to love. Like understanding for me, in those moments where I do struggle, I have to like rediscover and access the love that I know is always there unconditionally. Like God loves me unconditionally. Yeah. So even if I feel like I'm not a writer, I can't create something right now, and I just need to rest, or I just need to be still, or just show up in a space and receive from other people's creativity, I am loved regardless. Like if I don't deliver, if I feel like a failure, I'm still loved. And that's everything, because that's what we all look for. That's what we're all searching for. So not only do we need to receive that love, that's our oxygen, we need to give that out. So who can I love on? Yeah. Right? And then as we love, like it opens up our creativity. Like just being able to express that love with others. So I hope that hit everything.
Oh, it did. It did. It's beautiful. Yeah. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. It's an honor to be able to listen to you, to be able to share with you, to be able to sit with you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yay.
Sis. Yay.
Give it up for my family.
Don't look at
Art and love all through my family. I give thanks for those past, present. I give thanks for my friends and sisters in the room. I'm still breathing, y'all. Flavorfully blended, chocolate lenses, sweet kisses, sprinkle me over anything and it becomes delectable. I am rainbow. Eyes full of soul, head all aglow, crowned with coils and kinks locked into freedom. I am earth, deep, round, fertile ground so into me. I am fruitful tree swayed only by breeze. My root systems run deep beneath the surface of my skin. I am oxygen breathing. Invisible to the faithless, blinding to the colorless. I am sound waves against the shores of your mind. I am sandy beach, dig into me and discover treasure in this earthen vessel broken. I am sky kissing ocean, violet hue horizon. I revolve around the sun. I am moon. I carry the universe in my womb, making room for generations to march on me when I die. I am buried alive. I am well. Flowing diamond water, sparkling pure, clean to taste. I am the vibrational currents of my children's heartbeats. I play passionate percussion. I am drum moving feet to dance on me. I am filled with fountains of fire at my core. I am thunderstorm lightning. I am electricity. I am everything epiphany. I am divine showing my name is Tiffany. I am the wiser Eve returned to Eden, ever evolving into freedom. I am just a glimpse of truth. I am every shade of light and love. I am. God bless you.
I have made the discovery that I must share so that I might keep anything at all, and that in the giving there is joy and satisfaction. I have learned that to be free, I must surrender, and that surrendering brings comfort.
Thank you. My destiny.